Yeah, am I audible?
Yes, Varshit, we can hear you.
Okay, great. I'll be sharing my screen. I hope it's visible.
Yes, we can see your screen. Thank you.
Okay, great. So I'll just be continuing from where we stopped last time. So yesterday, what we had done, we had made the main activity. We made the first composable function, and then we made also the logical part. So like the where the app will like call the different faces of the dice. So now I just have to like make the preview visible. Right now it's not built, so because we haven't turned on the preview, and still we need to do some more changes. So I'll just be doing that. So in the main activity, we have our dice roller theme and dice roller app. So then think just have to remove. And then in the composable function, dice roller app dice with button and image. So it's filling. This will just fill the entire screen with the our content. So in here we're declaring a variable called result, and we're making a mutable state, and its default value should be 1. So mutable state means it can change, and remember means it can be accessed from all the different functions that we're calling the result variable in. So here for this when, I think I had to add one more bracket. Okay, that's better. So 1 dice 1. So for 2, it's to be dice 2. For 3, it's to actually be dice 3. For 2, it's to be dice 4, 5. And in the last, it should be dice 6. Okay, and for remember, we have to call one extra package. We have to import one package. So I just press Alt Enter, and that imports the package. Import mutable state, and then import. Okay, now it's fine. Then column. So in column is basically where all the elements are displayed in a column-wise manner. So for column also I have to import this package. One second. Yeah. So there's a package that imports where the column function is stored. So that just imports that function. So and then I have my image. So here I'll just call from our remember if last time we made a resource in our resource package. We had stored different pictures of the dice faces. So we just have to call those dice faces once again. R R means for the resource package. So that directs it to the R resource, and then drawable. So and then inside drawable we have our dices. Okay, so that should be fine. And then text string role. Okay, a role is actually the name of the string. To define the string, we have to go to this inside values package. We have a folder called XML file called strings. So there we'll just go, and then here we have so I think we added it already, the XML. So here the XML is called role. So the name of the variable, name of string is role, and that will just print it on the button. So that's fine. I think so. what I'll do is I'll call r dot values dot okay, so and here, okay, yeah. So this function we don't need because it's just an extra thing that was default when we made the compose activity. It just defaultly added that, so we actually don't need it. So I'll just remove it. I think it's going to be fine now. Just going through if you have missed out on anything. And here we'll write, because this is the annotation that's calling the main app function. So just right on top of that, we'll write add preview. So preview just gives us a preview in the design side of the interface. So here we can see that the preview is going to be built. So preview, and because it's going to be a transparent background, so I need to just write so background equals to true. So that will give us a solid background now. Yep. So wait, I think that's oh yeah, this would be strings dot role because we had named it as role. So let's call that. I think it should work now. Oh yeah. So here we can see the preview of the okay. So here we can see the preview of the app that we just built. So it's just a blank screen with a dice in the center. And that dice, whenever we press the roll button, it will just shuffle because of the randomized function that we gave here. So yeah, random function. So it just shuffles the dice faces. So next step is to run this app. For that, we need either an emulator or a physical Android device. Usually I use my device because that's better. It just gives it get a better feel for it. But for streaming purposes, I just download an emulator. So we'll run it. And it does take some time to build the emulator, the Gradle. So it's connecting. Yeah. I think this emulator it does take a very long time for emulators to load. Okay, it's starting up. So emulator is basically of an Android device that is virtual. So it has many features of an Android device, but it's just a virtual replication of it. Also, while it's loading, I'll be talking about the next app that we're going to make. That I'm going to demonstrate how to make. It's going to be a news app. So it's just going to like display some headlines, and the user can just scroll to those headlines. So in that, we'll be using concepts like making rows and columns to display news. Okay, the emulator has started. I'll just run the code once so that the app starts running. Okay. It's installing, so that does take some time. Okay, starting up. Okay, so this is the exact same interface that we just built, but in a virtual device. So I'll just press roll and we'll see if it works. It's loading again. The screen froze for some reason. Yeah, emulators are a very big package, so it does freeze a lot. Okay, in the meanwhile, we'll be starting the next app, the news app. And before we start that, I'd like to explain how it actually will work. So instead of just diving into the coding, I'll just like briefly explain how it works. I just paint. So we'll have a news app. It will just be something like this. So we'll have our main interface, and there we'll have like cards. So are like combination of images, text, and icons. Anything can be in a form of a card, and we'll have multiple cards, and all of that we can just like scroll and we can just see more cards. So we're going to create a column that way. So a column. So yeah. So this will be like the function of our main activity, and then a main activity will make these cards, and these cards will call it will call two things. One is an image because we want to show the image, and also a string because we want to show a string. And for that, we'll need to define it in a like. Usually, we could use Firebase to like store data and create our own databases, but we won't do that for now. So instead, what we'll do to store the image and strings, we'll just store them in the XML files. And once we store them in the XML files, then we'll just access them in another like a function, a composable function. So that's called our model. Model. So this will just represent all of the functions in one list. So this list that we're building. So like in Java, we had the concept of arrays. Here we have lists. So list can store not just the similar type of data types, but multiple together. So it could be like we could store both our image and strings and this in the same list. And from our model, we'll also like make our this data file that just it will from our model it will just take from data. And what data does, it just generates this list that we want to make. And from that list that's going to be made, we'll again call it in our main activity. So this will be our main activity. And we'll just call our data thing. So that's basically what we have. So I'll just yeah. Also, for making a column, and inside also we'll have tiny rows that will display the title of the news and also like an icon or something. So for that, for columns and for rows, we have something in Jetpack Compose called uh, lazy. So it's a funny name, but lazy is actually very easy to use. So it's a very simplistic way of making rows and columns that are interactable with your just swiping and stuff. So, yeah. So we'll just start this project. Again, new project. I'll just open in another tab because this has froze. New. Okay, it's frozen. Okay. New project. New empty compose activity and next. We'll name this as a news demo. Okay, and then the language package. Okay, SDK is Lollipop, which is the one that mostly everyone uses. So finish. Okay, it's just going to start up. Right now, I'm waiting for the build to complete. So yes. Okay, still loading, but we can see the main activity. We'll just wait for it to finish processing. Okay, so it's again we have come to the basic Kotlin activity. Okay, so we have our main function called onCreate, then we have some composable functions, and again if we show the split screen, okay, it's frozen. Okay, we'll just start with the coding then. So in our main activity, first we'll want to call our app function. So I'm just going to remove surface for now. But we could keep surface. Super on create news demo theme. Okay, first we'll just make a composable function just to make our cards. So add composable. Fun, and then for this for our, like the news post, so I just call this function as news post because it's literally just the post of news that we're going to display later on. Okay, news post, just define that function, and inside I'll make a card. And I'll call the modifier parameter again. Sorry if my screen lags a bit. Okay, so inside our card, basically first we want an image. So for an image, I'll just call. Oh wait, first, for the card, we'll have a background so that everything can lay on top of that background. So I'll just write background color. I could. Yeah. So for colors, we have to call the material package, material theme package. So that just imports all the colors and extra like aesthetics purposes. Colors surface. Surface is just the at the top of the card. And I'll just close it. Okay. I think this will put inside our card. Yeah. Modifier equals to. Okay. I can write modifier and then padding because we want our card to be a little bit elevated. So I'll just remove this. Modifier equals to modifier dot padding. Like modifying some details of our card. So we have padding. Padding is just like the edges. Padding and then edges I will make them like 8. And then elevation. Elevation is like it gives the card a bit of a shadow, so it has a 3D effect. I'll make it 4 dB. And then we have our background color, material theme, color, surface. Yep. Okay, that seems fine. So the inside in this parenthesis, we just gave the details of our card. Now for the actual content that will go inside the card, I'll put it inside these curly braces. So in our curly braces, we'll first have first, like if I go back to our paint, we can see first I'll have a column. So this column that goes up and down, and inside the column I'll have images and one image and a text. So back to our news demo. So column. Column, then we'll put some details of the column. Image. So inside the column, we'll have an image. And inside the image, I'll just give some details. So like First of all, the most important thing for declaring an image in a composable function is declaring a painter variable. So painter resource, and then I just give, later on I'll just add the resources. I'll add like pictures and stuff. For now, I'll leave that blank. Then inside the inside the image, I'll also have like content display, content description. So I can define it further. I'll just call some packages. So for one for image, one for chord. Just where import packages, you just have to press Alt Enter on the thing or the keyword that needs a separate package in order to run. Background color import. Okay, now it's fine. So back to this content description. I can type string resource. Just like painter resource for the actual content, you just have strings. And inside string resource, inside string resource, I just later on I'll just make strings and we have to just call those strings inside the ID. Okay, and then next in the end I'll just call the modifier path. Modifier equals to modifier. Yeah. Okay. Sorry. And for the modifier, why I want it is because I want to modify a few details of my image, like so I can make it like I can scale my image in order to fit my columns. So what I do for that is just like fill max size. This one just fill takes the as much as the max size, literally the max size of the screen. And also I have sorry, I have height. Height is just how tall the image would be, the height of the image. 1, 9. That's like a good size for like an image. Maybe. Then comma. I think here also I have to comma. And here also I'll just call this package. And for height also I need to call another package, import a package. So after I've imported the packages, I've defined the modifier. So then I'll just go to content scale. So this is the scaling of the image. Then scale, content, scale, dot. Okay, so that's enough for defining the image. Content crop. So image is done. Then I'll go to the next element. I'll have a row. Row, then image. Then I'll just copy this painter one. Yes, for every image, we always need a painter variable. And that this painter variable just accesses the drawable resource that we had stored in the drawable package. So after painter, we also need this content description again. This content description. Okay. And for this, I'll just call it icon. Content description icon, that means the image that I'm calling in this row is just the name is icon, nothing more than that. Then, like always, I call the modifier again. Modifier equals to modifier. And then I will define the height of this of the icon. So height, I'll say 30 dp, a little bit smaller than the main image, so that it can just be like an icon below it. Okay, so we have our painter, content description, modifier. So that's enough for this image. Now I'll make one text composable function. So inside text, always capital T. I'll say text equals to, so like just next to the icon, I'll have a text. So I want it to be like a general like description of all these newses. So I'll just say latest tech newses in double quotations. Latest tech news. Then again another modifier. I'll just copy the previous modifier and just modify the padding and stuff. Modifier, I'll say padding. Padding doesn't have to be that big, so I'll just make it like 5. Then also add some more like style of the text. If I want like bold or italics, I can just use style equals to text style font size equals to 14 sp. Sp is the value for which we define the height of text, while dp is for images. Sp. Color equals to color dot blue. Okay, that means the text that we're the printing here would come out as a blue color. Okay, so I think this much for the text is done. Now that we have like a column, a row, image, and text, I want a text for just the headline of the news. So I'll just make another text. I'll just Yeah, I'll just make a text again. Text equals to, and this time I won't be directly like writing the string here. Instead, I will be defining it in the XML values later on. So yeah, so for to call the call our text from this XMLs from values and then this XML file. So later on we'll be just defining them, and then I'll be calling them inside this text function. So to do that, I'll just make the function local context, okay, dot current get string, and then later on whatever the string we're going to import it from there. So let's deal with that later. Right, we're just writing the main layout of the preview. So after text, again the modifier for text is always good to have it's a good idea to have padding for text. It gives a more visually appealing look. 14 dp. And after modifier, we'll also add the style again. Style equals to material theme dot. So like before we had called the material theme. So again we're calling it. That time it was for making the card the cohesive theme. But here we're just going to make for this specific text. So for text, there's a package that we have to call called typography. So I'll just write that in, typography. And then H6. So what is actually is yeah. So if we go to this package, UI.theme, and if you click on it, you'll see these options: color, shape, theme, type. So in theme, if you go, you'll see this theme has been defined here. So this theme is actually a theme that we're calling in our main activity, and there's also type. In type, we define the typography of the app. So if you even want to like make our own custom themes and text styles, we can just directly do it from here and just call typography wherever we need it. So yeah, back to this. Okay, so I think for our card we have all of the elements that we require. So we have the column, we have the row, text, and the other text. This is the headline text. And let's make sure this is closed properly. Yep, hope so. And then we have our this thing. Yeah. So let's go back to the main activity. So in main activity, we have this function called surface. In the surface, it will show like the basic background of the app, the first background. So background and the style and themes and anything else we want to define in surface. So here we already have the modifier fill max size. That's good because it will fill the whole thing. Uh, we'll also add the make if you want like a dark theme to our news app. So I could just write here color equals to color dot black. So the basically makes the background a black color. So it will have a nice dark theme to it. I have to put my package. Okay, so here we already have Oh, they already defaultly call one color, so I'll just remove that. Okay, so yeah. So inside of the surface, we'll just go here. It's written greeting and then a function printing Android. We'll just delete that. We'll make our own function. Let's call this function news demo app. Yeah. So I think that's done. Now we have to define this news demo app. So I'll just make another composable function. So be capital C. Composable fun, and then this function that we just put here. We're just going to initialize it. Function news demo app. So inside news demo app, I will make my theme. So news demo theme. Okay, so in this later on we'll be connecting it to our other two, like here what I explained. So here we have two other files which we have to connect to our main activity. So that done in this particular thing. Okay, one second. First. So in news demo themes, we'll be declaring our two functions. The two other files those two files first would generate the list and also represent those lists in annotations into these annotations that we're making. So that we'll just leave for later. Excuse me 1 second. I have to connect to my charger.
No worries.
Okay, that's fine. Okay, so let's just make this. So here, for this, we'll need to make two more Kotlin files. So right outside the package is this package. So I just go to New, right click on New, and then click on Kotlin class file. And this Kotlin class file, I'll name it as this model, I guess. And then instead of class, I just call it. Yep. And so here I'll just make a class. Also, because this is a different Kotlin file, I have to import the previous one. I have to input this one into this previous one. So we'll be doing that, but first let's just write it down. So yeah, we need to make a model and then Kotlin class file, and this is here we call it data list. So it's going to that again, data list. So that's data list, that's model, and let's close these other tabs. Let's do the data list first, because first we actually have to access this data list, then only the model can generate that list. So inside class data, first we'll make a class data list. That's great. Let's make it lowercase t. And then inside this class, we'll define some functions. So fun, and this function will make a list of newses. So I'll just say load list. List and then news list. So this news list is the name of this list. So I'm going to define this list. To define the list, I have to go to values and then strings XML. So here I'll just be writing some, just copy this first one. Copy that and just change the name of the string. So instead of this thing, app name, I'll write news headline 1 or just news 1. So that's the first headline. And inside, I'll just give it headline. So this is headline 1. Later on, we'll go. You got to import your own, or just change it. Headline 1. Okay, and like that, you'll do it some more like 3 times for like different headlines. So news 2. Headline 2. News 3. This is headline 3. And so on and so forth. That's defined, so I'm just going to go back to my data. Wait, first I'll just put some images inside my drawable file. So I'll just go, I have saved some headline pictures. So I'll just like copy those inside my drawable file. So downloads. Yeah, so these are some of them. And then paste them in my drawable file. Drawable, okay. Okay. And they are there inside. So these are just news pictures of some headlines. Just some just filler pictures. They don't have much meaning. Then I'll go back to values. I'll go back. The strings. Okay, news one. Okay, that's fine. So now we both have our values of like the strings, which have contained the headlines of the newses, and also we have filled our drawable with images that we'll use as resource. So we'll just go back to data list and data list, and we're just going to return a list of the strings and images together. So list of, and this again, right? Lowercase, uppercase. Same thing, news list. So this is returns all the values stored in news list. So we're going to first say news list 1. So for news list 1, we do call 2 things. So first we'll call the string, the headline. So just like before, r dot string dot string dot news 1. Okay, and then also with the string, we also call drawable image. So the same thing. R dot drawable dot image one. Okay. Then just comma, and then I'll just copy this two more times for three newses. So one and two. And make sure to change this also to news one, news two, and image one and two, image two. News one and two, news three, and image one and two, news three. So this should be fine. Here and now we're going to work on the model. So in this model, we're going to call this data list, and the IDs of the strings and colors that I mean strings and drawings, the drawables that you used in the data list, we're going to call them in the model and generate that into a list. So I'm just going to define a class, say news list. Wait, I already called one as that. Let's just say uh, model list. String ID. So first we have a string, we have the image. I just copy that from here. Okay, so yeah, so what we did just now is just like we're importing the two other resources, the drawable resource and the string resource. And after that, we just made a data class. Data classes are used to store is a special type of class that uses just store data. You can't like uh, out return or print anything, or and it's just used for storing data and storing that data in a variable that can be accessed in other using these particular uh, compose functions. So now that we have news list, we have our data list, data list, and also I think I will import class. Import main activity. Okay, we have to import quite a few packages right now. So we'll just do that. For row, we have to import one. Row style, font size. It'll be fine. Must be some other error. Local context, modifier. Okay. Yeah. So basically, it should run right now. The main activity is complete, and actually, we have to just fill in our this main news demo app function. So now that we have defined our list, here we can actually write our data list. This data list, right? Function load news list data list. was our post news list. Post list. Use demo theme, then post list, and post list, and then after that data list. The list dot load news list. That's the package we had, function that we had defined before that just loads the entire news list, and then we close the brackets. Yes, post news list. Yep. Okay, so that's fine. Just import the package. Okay, there's quite a few debugging I have to do with this, but so far we have actually done everything that's required for this app to run, but debugging all it takes a lot of time. So for that, I've already just made this app, and here it is with completed debugging, and it's just the same thing, but this one can run. So here is the same thing. We have the main activity, and in our main activity, we're calling the news app. News app. It just shows the columns. It prints the columns in a list, and this list later on is it contains cards of columns. So every card has an image. It has a row, which that row later has an image of the icon, and then it has an image of a text. So if I show split screen, so yeah, so this is basically the design of the UI. So here, this is a individual card, and in this individual card we have the icon, the small text that we put on the top, the latest tech news right there, and then the headline. This headline I had defined it, made a cohesive headline, and just called it. So those headlines actually had defined it right here in resources, values, strings. So this I just copied some headlines. I just posted there. Usually, if you wanted to make a real news app, what you do is go to Firebase. You would connect it with some APIs. Like there's some sites that do provide news APIs, so you could just connect that with your Firebase, and then connect your Firebase with your app. Okay, so back to the main activity. So let's try running this. So let's see. I hope the emulator runs this time. It's showing the previous one. I'll just to turn it off so it can reboot. So I'll just close that and again. It's loading. Okay, sorry, I accidentally terminated it. Okay, it's building. Starting AVD. Emulator. Okay, it's still giving the previous one. So what I'll do, I'll just go to Device Manager. In Device Manager, I'll just click on Wipe Data. So that way, all the previous apps that you have worked on, it won't show right now. So, select API. Okay. So if it's wiped, go to home. Yeah, these emulators are not working with my PC. I think it's installing the app. Right. Okay. So here it's just installing. So hopefully it installs fast and we can see this app in action. Okay, it's again given error. Right now it's showing the preview of the first card, and if you wanted to see the preview of different like elements in your program, what you have to do, you just have to go to the place where you have defined this preview, and then you just go here. So here it says set resource dot string dot news one. So instead of news one, if I just gave news 4 and new image 4, so then it would show the fourth card. So every time you want to make a new preview, we have to build and refresh. Yes, so this is like another preview. Okay, I think we're passing the time of the boot camp, allotted time. If the simulator runs, otherwise I could just send the link of this app later on. Okay, it's waiting for the target device to come online. Does anyone have any questions so far?
Everybody feel free to type in the Q&A section or even the general chat will address them.
Oh, great. So the emulator finally decided to load. And right here, we can see the app that we just built. So these are the headlines. And if we just scroll down, we can see the column, different headlines and cards. And it's all in one like scrollable column. That's all thanks to the column that we just made. Yes. So that would be it from my side. Now that the emulator is working and we can see the final output, anyone has any questions, and then we can end the session.
I believe there are no questions. I don't see any in the Q&A or general chat. So
Oh, is there no questions?
yeah, absolutely, Shubham. This session was very good. Thank you, Roshni, for such a detailed explanation of both the apps that we completed. Um, I request all attendees to, if you have followed through with Roshni, um, and you feel like it, you can post on social media using just a minute. I use the hashtags.
Okay, so now that we're done, I'll stop sharing my screen and we can end the session.
Yeah,
Okay, thank you, Subham. And,
sorry.
okay, Isan, should we terminate this meeting?
Yeah, definitely. Everybody, I have pasted the uh, hashtags that you can use to post online, both your progress and if you have created other applications apart from this, please feel free to post online. And also, there is one more thing I need to tell everybody. We have recently received instructions for the application submission this year. So I'll be sharing that with everybody. Uh, and there,
I
yeah.
don't think you're audible.
Am I audible? Am I audible now? Hello. All right. All right. Thanks, Rupam. So we have received the guidelines for the app submission. I'll be sharing that with you all. We expect we expect to receive certain submissions from your end as well. We'll be making our own app as well. This is not a competition. We are just going to GDSC just wants to analyze whether you have learned something or not. So I'll be sharing the details with you. Don't worry about that. And before October 8th, we'll be submitting our application. All right, that's it from my end as well. If you'd like to say anything else, Roshni, please do go ahead. Oh, 1 minute. I think I'm not audible to Roshni, so I'll just type in the chat. Yeah. Thank you all for joining, and we'll see you soon. Yeah. Roshni, can you stop the simulcast, or do I do it? All right.